1914. The year heaven changed, and earth began to burn. In the early days of the 20th century, the world believed it was entering its most civilized age. Science was advancing, empires were stable, diplomacy seemed sophisticated enough to prevent global disaster. And yet, in 1914, the world collapsed into a war so vast, so violent, and so unprecedented that history itself was divided into before and after. But what if this war was not merely political? What if Germany did not start the war, yet still stood at the center of something far larger? And what if 1914 marked not only the outbreak of human conflict, but the moment heaven itself went to war? Germany did not initiate World War I in isolation. The spark began in Sarajevo with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Russia mobilized. France prepared for conflict. Britain was drawn in through alliances. Germany entered the war because the system of alliances forced its hand, not because it planned global domination from the beginning. And yet, once the war began, it spread faster than any conflict humanity had ever known. Within weeks, the world was engulfed. Why? Because this war was not merely political. It was systemic, it was global, and most importantly, it was unprecedented. Centuries earlier, Jesus spoke of a sign that would mark a turning point in human history. He said there would come a time when nation would rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, not as isolated conflicts, but as a global pattern. Before 1914, wars were regional. After 1914, war became total. For the first time in history, entire economies were mobilized for destruction. Civilians became primary targets. Technology was used to kill on an industrial scale. This was not just another war. This was the beginning of the last days. While nations mobilized on Earth, something far more decisive was unfolding beyond human sight. Prophecy points to a moment when Jesus would be enthroned as King of God's kingdom, not on earth, but in heaven. This enthronement was not peaceful. It triggered war, a conflict not between nations, but between spiritual powers. Michael and his angels fought against Satan and his demons, and Satan was defeated. He was cast down to the earth, stripped of access to heaven, filled with rage, knowing his time was short. Then came the warning. Because Satan had been hurled down, woe would come upon the earth. Suddenly, the timing becomes impossible to ignore. 1914 marks the outbreak of the First Global War, the beginning of unparalleled human suffering, the sudden acceleration of violence, disease, famine, and instability. Earth did not become violent by accident. It became violent because its unseen ruler was expelled from heaven. After 1914, the world never returned to normal. The war ended, but peace did not. Instead, the century that followed became the bloodiest in human history. World War II emerged directly from the unresolved consequences of the first. Genocides followed. Cold wars replaced hot ones. Nuclear weapons placed extinction within human reach. And alongside wars came food shortages on a global scale, pandemics that affected entire continents, moral breakdown within societies, and anxiety, fear, and meaninglessness spreading rapidly. Jesus said these things would occur together, like birth pains, increasing in intensity and frequency, not ending suddenly, but accelerating. Germany's role in 1914 was not that of a lone villain. It was the central engine through which the old world order collapsed. Its defeat dismantled empires. Its humiliation planted the seeds of another war. Its position in Europe made it the pivot upon which the global system turned. Germany did not start the prophecy, but it became the instrument through which the world was forced into a new era. An era marked by instability. An era that would last until the kingdom fully replaces human rulership. If 1914 marked the moment Jesus began ruling as king in heaven, then everything since has meaning. Wars are not random. Fear is not accidental. Instability is not temporary. The world is living in the overlap between human governments still ruling and God's kingdom already established. This tension explains why solutions fail, why peace agreements collapse, why humanity advances technologically but regresses morally. It is not the end yet, but it is the final chapter. If 1914 truly marked the beginning of Christ's heavenly rule, and if the signs have continued without interruption, then the real question is not whether prophecy is unfolding, but where you stand in it. Because the same kingdom that was established in heaven is the one destined to bring peace to the earth. This is not just the past. This is the world you are living in now. Subscribe to our channel for deeper insight into history, prophecy, and the hidden meaning behind world events.